$400 for a dress? M.I.A. $400 for a dress? M.I.A. for $400. I don't need it to protect me from 5G. I need it to protect me from gunshots. I should be able to get shanked in this dress 100 times and live for $400. Hello everyone, my name is Spicy. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about M.I.A. and what antics she's been up to as of late. If you don't know, M.I.A. is a British-born rapper of Tamil Sri Lankan descent. She's been making music ever since the 2000s, and she's been in and out of the news for her controversial and provocative statements and stances on certain political issues. And most recently she dropped her own brand called Ohmni, which is not only a fashion line, but it's also supposed to protect you from what she refers to as the digital battlefield. There's a lot to talk about. And before I get into the video, I just want to make it clear that I don't want this video to be a hit piece on M.I.A. because I am a huge fan of M.I.A. as an artist. All her songs are like a mixture of hip-hop and EDM and Tamil music, and she just combines it in a way that just makes sense. And, you know, there's very few people out there who make music like her and become famous internationally for it. She's used her platform to bring awareness to various social issues, such as the genocide of Tamil people in Sri Lanka, which is referencing her roots as a refugee from Sri Lanka as well. She's a platinum artist. She's performed at Coachella. She's performed at the Super Bowl halftime show while flicking off the camera, and she got sued for it. Got it! She's kind of a big f***ing deal, you know? In fact, I am such a huge fan of M.I.A. that I've embroidered her twice. And I do embroidery art on the side, like I didn't just make this stuff for the video. Anyways, no matter what's going on with her right now, I don't want that to negate everything she's done to put South Asians on the map. Okay. Enough dick riding, let's get into the video. So, I follow M.I.A. on Instagram, and she recently posted this picture of herself wearing this really cool t-shirt that said, "Complaint Department, please take a number." And I remember at the time she was also teasing a clothing line, so I thought to myself, alright, sick, let's see if she's selling this shirt as merch. Let's see how much it costs. So I went to her bio and I clicked on her website link, which takes you to ohmni.com, and I didn't see the t-shirt that I wanted. Instead, I saw an all-chrome clothing line that I can only describe as conspiracy chic. She has things for sale like data protection dump bag, potency boxer shorts, and brain protection do-rag. Everything she has for sale is infused with some sort of metal such as silver or copper, and makes claims to deflect electromagnetic frequencies such as Wi-Fi. And in the description of all these items, they have these symbols at the bottom saying no Wi-Fi, no radiation, no satellite, so on and so forth. She even has an item for sale that is quite literally called tinfoil hat. And looking through this website, I was thinking to myself, she can't be serious, right? Like, this is some sort of joke, right? But then I caught sight of the prices and I was like, oh, she's actually lost her mind. Listen, to her credit, this looks really cool. Like, if it was a quarter of the price and she wasn't making all these dumbass claims in the description, maybe I would have considered picking something up. But this whole thing got me wondering, what the hell happened to M.I.A. to turn her into a conspiracy theorist? You know, I know a couple years ago she was in the news because she was tweeting a couple things that were casting doubt on whether or not the COVID vaccines actually work. And I wasn't really keeping up with that too much because, listen, it's the 2020s. If you don't believe that vaccines work, there is nothing I can say that will convince you otherwise. Your grandparents have been getting vaccines for things like polio and smallpox. Don't tell me you have a more narrow worldview than your grandparents. Am I saying don't question things? No, absolutely not. Ask questions and be curious, always. But when you do your research, you need to surrender yourself to people that are far more well-versed and educated than you in this topic. You have to listen to scientists and doctors and not musicians on Twitter. But anyways, when all of that was going down on Twitter, the whole vaccine controversy, I didn't really think too much of it. I wasn't following it too deeply because I just didn't care. Until M.I.A. started popping up again with her shiny new clothes. And then she posts this on her Instagram story. Someone left a comment saying, "I love M.I.A.'s music, and I'm glad she is somewhat based. Despite having many left-wing beliefs, she was always anti-war and never an NPC liberal moron." Hey, that's me. She is a leftist I respect. And M.I.A. responded to that by scribbling on the screen, "I'm on Alex Jones." What's particularly funny about this is that someone flagged that story with the false information flag just for the opportunity to state that vaccines are safe. Now that is some trolling I can get behind. But sure enough, she did actually do an interview with Alex Jones on his show Infowars. And guys, it took me multiple sittings, but I watched the whole thing.
Bruh.
Okay, so just for a bit of context, if you don't know who Alex Jones is, first of all, count your blessings, you're better off not knowing. Alex Jones is the guy from the meme where he's complaining about people putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gay. He's that guy.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny.
Alex Jones is a far-right commentator who hosts his own talk show on the internet where he talks about American politics and other world events. A lot of people, including people who consider themselves to be conservative, have written him off as a conspiracy theorist nutjob. He is infamous for continually pushing the lie that the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012 was a hoax and it was completely staged. Jones propagating these lies has led to a significant proportion of Americans to believe that the Sandy Hook school shooting never actually happened. This has caused the parents of those victims to get repeatedly harassed and threatened over the past decade. Ultimately, the parents pulled together to sue Alex Jones for defamation in a series of different lawsuits, and in all of the lawsuits, the judge ruled in favor of the parents, and in total, Alex Jones owes over $1.4 billion in restitution to the parents of the victims. I watched a pretty fascinating documentary about this topic, and I recommend you guys watch it if you get the chance. It's on Max. It's called The Truth versus Alex Jones, and it's a documentary about the parents of the victims' efforts to sue Alex Jones because of how much damage his lies have inflicted on their lives. My biggest takeaway from that documentary is that you cannot argue with crazy. Anyways, where does M.I.A. fit into all of this? Well, in 2022, when the decision was announced that Alex Jones had to pay restitutions to the victims' families, M.I.A. tweeted this: "If Alex Jones pays for lying, shouldn't every celebrity pushing vaccines pay too?" And if any of you were thinking, well, that's just one tweet, let's not take her out of context, maybe she meant something else by that. Well, lest there was any mistaking what she meant to say, she goes on to clarify with another tweet: "Alex Jones lying and Pfizer lying, both trending. One with penalty, other without. If you have no critical thinking faculty, this is about as crazy as we should get before a nuclear war wipe out the human race." I know hero worship is dead, but can we have one, just one celebrity that does not fall off the deep end? As you can imagine, she was met with a lot of backlash. So all this stuff goes down. Fast forward to current day, M.I.A. goes onto Alex Jones's garbage dumpster fire of a talk show, which is miraculously still up and running, and she does this interview.
I want to start with how my M.I.A. album was martyred. When I was about to release my last record, it was called M.I.A, and it kind of, the release date coincided with the verdict on your verdict when you're fined for $1 billion. As I was about to post about my album, I saw the headline about you, and then since then I've been kind of thrown into this full circle, you know.
I mean, I don't think this is a problem.
Okay, so this part is kind of confusing, mainly because they're not captioning her correctly, she's saying that her album M.I.A was martyred. M.I.A was her most recent album, which was released in 2022. It was supposedly supposed to release back in 2020, but M.I.A had posted something in her Instagram story a while back that the release was getting delayed because she's waiting on some verses from Nicki Minaj or Doja Cat or something like that. But that never came to fruition, and she never got those guest verses on her album. Was their withdrawal from the project perhaps related to all the controversy that M.I.A has found herself in as of late? Let me put on my tinfoil hat and ponder that for a second. M.I.A said that her record was martyred, but I mean, to be martyred is to be killed off, and her album still came out, so I don't know if that's really martyred. Maybe she means that her album sales suffered because of everything she said, which, I mean, are you surprised? M.I.A even goes on to say that Alex Jones is a martyr, stating, "Sorry that happened to you," in reference to the lawsuits that he lost. She tries to explain the context of this notorious tweet, saying she didn't mean to defend Alex Jones, but she more so saw it as a positive precedent, that if we can sue people for lying, that we should also start suing celebrities and politicians for lying as well.
Yeah, well, I think that was historical if somebody was getting fined for lying. Like, even though, sorry to hear that it happened to you, if we're going to go into the realm of suing people and fining them for lying, I saw it as a positive news, even though, you know, my record was martyred, and I guess so are you on all the platforms, you know, since then.
Alex Jones is not a martyr. Alex Jones has no right to play the victim card. He got exactly what he deserved. He knew what he was doing, and he got exactly what was coming to him. If Alex Jones or M.I.A are victims of anything at all, they are victims of the consequences of their own actions.
You know, these are the things that I want to figure out, because last month we basically are still experiencing people that were affected by the vaccine. And in 2020, I got thrown into the anti-vax category, which I wasn't aware of and I didn't really know. And it's a terminology that was really popping up in America, and it's like a thing that is a movement. And I've been floating around for 4 years, being cancelled by every leftist magazine and platforms because they, you know, were name calling me as an anti-vaxxer. So obviously I took more interest in researching who these people are and who I'm lumped in with.
It seems to me like M.I.A is a little bit annoyed that she got labeled an anti-vaxxer. What would be the preferred terminology to use? Immunologically challenged?
If you look at the amount of people that have apparently died from when COVID came in the last 4 years, I heard 20 million. I would say that's a little bit like a genocide.
Well, sure. I mean, it was.
Zoom in to one location, which is Israel-Palestine, and then there's, you know, this violent situation. People are calling it genocide. I would also call it a genocide because it's very similar to the Tamil situation. But what I'm saying is that is a zoomed-in issue, and then when you zoom out, the global situation is there's been 20 to 30 million people who died the last 4 years. And then when you're talking about when people are freaking out saying, hey, can we have you talk more about Palestine? Well, 4 years ago, I said, hey, can we talk more about the 20 million people? And nobody really cared. And in fact, I just got thrown into a conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxer category and censored.
She keeps saying this number, what happened to the 20 million? Like, she's making all these references, comparing the number of people who died by COVID to the number of Palestinians being killed in Gaza right now by Israel. And I tried to do some research about how many people died of COVID worldwide, and I couldn't find anything that measured up to the number that she was referencing. According to Worldometer, the estimated death toll of COVID was a little over 7 million as of 2024 in April. According to Statistica, that number was 6.86 million as of May 2023. However, according to the World Health Organization, 14.9 million excess deaths were associated with COVID in 2020 and 2021. Now, why is this number so much more higher than the other numbers we were looking at? It's because it's accounting for excess mortality, which means it's not only including people that died of COVID, but it's including people who died because they had other emergent health issues that were non-COVID related, but they couldn't get the help that they needed because the healthcare system was overburdened with COVID cases at the time. M.I.A. seems to be casting doubt as to what happened to these millions of people, like what exactly did they die from, or whether or not they even died at all. Every statistic you will find is just an estimate because it's impossible to know exactly how many people died worldwide. Like, that's just non-feasible to get that kind of statistic. But I will tell you, again, I work in a hospital. So many people were dying of COVID that at some point we couldn't use the morgue anymore. We just had to use a truck. Let that sink in.
7 years from the concept of evil dust that Julian Assange mentioned, we are now walking in these cities. We're walking and consuming this stuff and injecting this stuff, and it's in, if it's in the atmosphere, then that is, you've got to move fashion forward. We no longer want to wear something that just simply looks good, or I don't. I want to.
But I want to go further. I got to stop you, M.I.A. This is so genius, and only a smart woman could come up with this. Style and fashion, the CIA is obsessed with. That's how they control culture. The new runway models have cut their breast off, and they come out with their breast cut off. Everybody claps. That's evil Satanism. Attack the goddess, attack the woman.
Okay, so here she's saying that her clothing line is in part inspired by an interview done by the founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange. They play a clip from the actual interview as well.
Intelligent evil dust scattered everywhere like confetti in everything. So I think it's increasingly hard for human beings to work out how to deal with that. And the only way I can see is that as we've got to securitize this problem.
Let's just assume for a second that Julian Assange is right and the government is spraying nanoparticles in the air that is out to get all the citizens. How is Ohmni's clothing supposed to protect us? There is so much of the body that's still exposed with these clothes, like the face and the hands. Pretend that this evil dust acts in the same way that regular dust does. Wouldn't it have made more sense to come out with a face mask to prevent you from inhaling these nanoparticles? I mean, you already had the do-rag, you might as well just go the full 9 yards and come out with a shiesty as well. Or maybe even some silver gloves or some silver infused hand sanitizer to kill the evil dust off your hand. Why am I even talking about this? Like I said earlier, I didn't necessarily want this to be a full-blown hit piece where I'm just pointing and laughing, so I tried to do a bit of research to see if there was any legitimacy at all to her claims. I did some research as to whether or not there was any benefits of wearing clothing made from silver-infused textiles. Riveting stuff, I know. This study says that textiles treated with silver have antimicrobial properties, so that's something, but that's not even one of the claims that M.I.A. is making. She claims that all her clothes are anti-EMF, or electromagnetic frequencies, such as Wi-Fi. Since silver is a metal, it can reflect Wi-Fi signals. However, studies show that Wi-Fi exposure that we have in our everyday life poses minimal risk to our health, and the risk that it poses to human fertility is still inconclusive with the evidence that we have today. The collection also offers accessories such as bags and cell phone cases that are infused with copper or silver, which is meant to cut off all Wi-Fi signals from your phone. By the way, if anyone watching this has a background in engineering or computer science and can explain whether or not this works, whether this silver/copper phone case can actually effectively take your phone off the grid or disable any tracking device or Wi-Fi signals that go to your phone, I invite you to explain away in the comments. I'm just trying to figure out who is her target audience, I don't have this kind of money laying around to spend on fan merch, and I don't imagine that conspiracy theorists have a lot of disposable income either. So going back to our original question, how did M.I.A. get here? How did this edgy, boundary-pushing champion of immigrants and refugees become this peddler of tinfoil? I think she sort of kind of revealed the answer in her interview with Alex Jones. She said that every left-leaning news publication was out canceling her for her extreme views. When you try to shut out celebrities because they have views that you don't necessarily agree with, they're not going to stop pushing these views. They're simply just going to go find a platform that's willing to entertain them. They are going to drift and drift and drift until they fall off the edge of our flat earth and land in a place that'll actually accept them. Going back to the Alex Jones interview, I would like to point out how polite Alex Jones was being to M.I.A. Every clip I've ever seen of Alex Jones looks like he's in the middle of a manic episode. The only thing that differentiates Alex Jones from the homeless man that's muttering to himself and pushing a shopping cart down Santa Monica Boulevard at 2 a.m. is that Alex Jones has a microphone and a desk, and the homeless man does not. Alex Jones is a despicable excuse of a human being, but he gave M.I.A. a platform in which she could freely discuss her thoughts and her opinions without the fear of being criticized or canceled, and M.I.A. gladly took him up on the opportunity. People change, and there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. M.I.A. lost her home with her initial audience, and she's moved on to bigger and better things. Let's see what Alex Jones's audience thinks of M.I.A. Babe. Simp. So she does her work for the commies and now wants to jump ship. I don't think so. More heavily quantized monotonal jungle rhythms. No wonder I never heard of her. So, closing thoughts. I have no problem separating the art from the artist, but of course that's determined on a case-by-case basis. In this case, I think I can still listen to her music while not necessarily supporting every single thing that M.I.A. stands for. I said it in the beginning and I'll say it again, M.I.A. is a big deal, especially to South Asian women. Hard freaking pass on the clothes, but if she comes out with another album, I'm probably gonna stream it. M.I.A had some bangers on it, what do you want me to say? And if she does a concert that's close to me, I might just go. I'd probably wear an N95 though, because she's not vaccinated. So what do you think about all of this? Any M.I.A. fans out there who's willing to buy her clothes? If you've never heard of M.I.A., I also invite you to join this discussion because I'm curious of an outsider's opinion on all of this. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on my Instagram for all of my embroidery art and my daily deranged thoughts. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.